Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how I stay sober now that I am at 3 years alcohol free. If you are already on a sobriety journey yourself, or if you are looking to quit drinking alcohol, then this video is going to be for you. Consider liking and subscribing so that you stay updated whenever I post other sobriety related videos. Let's go ahead and get into it. And before we hop into the video, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has been here with me since day one. This past year, I was pretty MIA on here, so I appreciate those of you who have stuck it out with me and stuck around. It means so much to me to have you guys here. Please let me know how you're doing in the comments, where you are at on your sobriety journey, how many days sober you are. I love to hear from you guys. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. 3 years alcohol free. Wow. I still remember the days where I was pleading with God to just help me quit drinking. I would get a little bit of time. I made it to 6 months once, and I kept going back to drinking, and I felt so defeated. Like I was just never going to get this, and I so desperately wanted long-term sobriety. Like so many others, I was really kidding myself because I knew I had a problem with alcohol, and I was using it as a crutch in so many areas of my life. I was using it to deal with the stresses of motherhood and the stresses of marriage. And I was using alcohol to bury trauma that I didn't want to feel or process or deal with. And it really just became this vicious cycle that I found myself stuck in because in my 30s, alcohol was no longer fun. I can look back on some of the drinking in my early 20s where it wasn't necessarily a problem yet, where our drinking goes from fun to now you're a slave to alcohol. And now you can't go a day without drinking. You can't function without having that relief. And that's when you're in trouble. That's when it has you. And that's where I found myself. Really, towards the end of my drinking, I knew that I was going to eventually have to quit because I knew that this was not going to end well. And especially being a mother, my 2 children, I knew that I did not want them to grow up watching me struggle with alcohol because, as it turns out, I know what that is like. And I myself grew up with alcoholic parents, and it's really shaped who I am today. And it also is the number one reason why I continue this alcohol-free lifestyle, is because I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of alcohol. I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of someone who is struggling with alcohol, and to be a child of a parent with alcoholism is devastating. And it's just not something that I would wish on my worst enemy. It's horrible to have to go through that. And as my drinking was progressing, I realized that if I didn't stop, I was going to be putting my kids through the same trauma that I grew up experiencing. And I just could not live with myself. I could not do that. And that's when I really started digging deep and really started to want that change for myself. My kids were 5 and 7 when I finally quit drinking for good. And I'm so grateful that they don't have memories of me being drunk or struggling with alcohol. And I'm so grateful for that. And it's another thing that keeps me sober, knowing that if I stay the course, they won't know that. They will have no memories of me being drunk and no memories of mommy having a problem with alcohol. And that is enough motivation for me because I know what it's like to have a parent to struggle with alcohol, and it is really hard. So knowing that I am able to show up for them as a sober parent and lead by example for them is a huge driving force in my sobriety. And that's kind of where I wanted to get to, is one of the ways that I think a lot of the people with long-term sobriety, what they have figured out is they have very powerful why. Without that, you are more susceptible to relapse. You have to become brutally honest with yourself on why you are quitting drinking and the depth of what alcohol has cost you. Really go there. And that's what did it for me, because anytime I thought about my kids going through what I went through, it stops me in my tracks from even contemplating drinking again. And that is what keeps me sober. Not everyone is going to relate to the children aspect. Not everybody has kids, so not everyone is going to relate to that. But everyone has something that is so important to them that alcohol will destroy. And you have to find out what that is for you. What is the deal breaker? What is just not worth ruining? And there's so many reasons not to drink. And obviously, my kids aren't the only reason why I quit drinking. It's for myself. It's for a lot of other reasons. Hangovers in your 30s are terrible. And, that is definitely one of the reasons why. But hangovers aren't enough of a deterrent for me to quit drinking. Hangovers suck, but they're not quite the deterrent that is inflicting the same kind of trauma on my kids that I had done to me. That right there, that gut punch, you need to find the thing that hits you in the gut, that if you keep drinking, you're going to lose that. That is where you find your powerful why. And I really think that is the difference in really mastering the long-term sobriety, is just being very clear on your why and never forgetting it. Always reminding yourself why you're staying sober, why you chose to quit drinking, and staying the course. Your why has to be bigger than any excuse you can think of, because on your hard days where you are tested and you want to drink, your powerful why will keep you sober. It will keep you sober because it is more important than any drink could ever possibly be. Once you get some sobriety time down and you start racking up the sober days, a huge part of staying sober is not forgetting why you chose to quit drinking in the first place. That is so huge, because time has a way of sort of glossing over things, and we forget how bad it was. We forget what brought us to wanting to quit drinking in the first place, and you can't let that happen. You can't let yourself forget. It can be all too easy to look around at your sober life that you've built and start to think that, maybe I wasn't that bad. I mean, look at me now. And, we forget that the life that we have right now is because we quit drinking. You don't have to dredge up every single painful memory, but do revisit some of those horrible times with drinking that you had and really sit with it. And the times that you are considering going back to drinking or having just one, really sit with the things that happened and the reasons you had to quit drinking in the first place. I promise you, if you really take a good hard look and you really think about the times that you overdid it with alcohol or the consequences that you had, you will go from, oh, I wasn't that bad, to, oh, wait, yes, I was. Yes, I was. And, you don't have to send yourself down a shame spiral, but it's good to remember those things. We have to remember where we came from to really continue forth in sobriety, because the forgetting and the trick that time can play on us, where we really forget the hard times and we start to romanticize drinking again, and we romanticize the good times that we have with alcohol, because I know everyone has them. Everyone who quit drinking has times where their drinking wasn't terrible and it was fun. And that's great. You know, like that. Had those times, good for you. It got bad and now you don't drink anymore. That is the story you have to continue to tell yourself because you're a non-drinker now. You know, you drank before, it got kind of hairy there and you made it out. So, you know, just be glad that you made it out and look back only to remind yourself of the bad times because that is where you will end up again. Your bright and shiny sober life will quickly turn the second you start drinking again. And it may not be instantaneous, but it will get there again. And anyone who's relapsed or gone back to drinking will tell you that that is the truth because it's progressive and alcohol has a way of picking us up and putting us right back where we left off. So do yourself a favor. If you have some sobriety time, reflect, you know, just remind yourself of all the reasons you had to quit drinking in the first place. And it's really funny because now that I'm at 3 years alcohol free, I feel like I have even less figured out. It's so funny because I think back to when I was like 3 months sober, like you couldn't tell me nothing. I had it figured out. Like I knew it all. And that high you have in early sobriety, some people call it the pink cloud, but eventually the shininess of your sobriety does wear off and you're kind of left with yourself. And in early sobriety, you know, you kind of go back and forth between the, you know, the pink cloud where you're just like so pumped up about sobriety. And then also, you know, you're still kind of like fighting for your life because you are still early sobriety. You're still kind of making it day to day. You're still playing with the idea, well, maybe I'll just go back to drinking. And so you're really kind of still in that fight or flight mode. And I feel like once you are a few years sober, you're kind of left at a plateau and you're kind of like, okay, well, now what? And, you know, it's like, I'm not fighting for my life to not drink anymore. You know, what now? What now? And that's kind of where I'm at. And it's funny because I have recently felt this, you know, reinvigoration of being really excited about sobriety again and wanting to share about sobriety again. And such is life, right? We go through waves and highs and lows, and there are going to be days where you are pumped up for sobriety. And then there are going to be days where you're like, you know, and you have to just roll with it. And I think that is one of the beautiful things about being sober is that because you are clear-headed, you are able to really do the healing work and dig deep and really sit with yourself and go, okay, well, now that I've got the whole alcohol addiction under control, what else can I improve on? And what else in my life can I stand to take a look at and to build on? Lately, I've been thinking a lot about contentment and complacency and where I fit in that right now. But I think if you stay in that spot for too long, I think that's where a relapse happens, is where we're just so complacent and we forget all the reasons why we should be so grateful for our sobriety. I think that's where people end up going back to drinking. Many people who have some long-term sobriety who go back to drinking, they regret it immediately. And it is okay if you have moments where you relapse and you go back to drinking, and it's a part of the journey. And many of us have had to deal with that, and it's a part of the journey. And each time that you come back, you don't lose your sober time. You really can build upon that. And this place where you're feeling, kind of blah about sobriety really can be a catalyst. Sobriety is truly a jumping off point in life where it really opens up so much room for growth in yourself. Sobriety really is the gateway to transformation. Once you drop the dead weight that is alcohol, the sky is really the limit, my friend. You can do anything. Once you conquer the beast that is alcohol, you can do anything. Sober people and people who have struggled with addiction are some of the toughest people I have ever met, because the things that they have gone through and crawled their way out of is incredible. And if you are someone who has done that, don't ever forget how incredible that is and how amazing you are for doing this and for going on this journey and taking a look at yourself and really getting real, because there are a lot of people who never do that. They live their entire life completely in denial when it comes to their drinking problem. And that is a sad place to be, because there is no growth in that. Getting sober is a huge accomplishment, and it will allow you to reach for so much more in your life, more than anything you ever thought was possible for yourself. And once you do get the hang of sobriety, don't quit reaching for more in your life. Keep improving, help others, and shine a light for others who are still stuck in the darkness. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Please leave your sobriety dates in the comments so that we can encourage each other on this journey. And until next time, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you real soon in the next one. Bye.